Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Alhamdulillah. By the will of Allah and His mercy, I have been married for more than 20 years now. Besides that, I have been talking to married people from all walks of life, from all backgrounds, some of whom are actually older than my own parents. From these experiences combined, I have shared with you some 15 mistakes to avoid in a new marriage, which targeted at newly married individuals or individuals who are in the process of starting families of their own. In our previous video, I promised you good people a special bonus in this video which you cannot afford to miss. So I'm glad that you are here. There are going to be 5 points of those bonuses. But before that, let us take a look at the highlights of the 15 mistakes we have shared in the previous 9 videos. Bismillah. The first mistake is forgetting that you are married. Like seriously, yes. You may forget that you are married. Mistake number 2, failing to adjust yourself in the new setting. Mistake number 3 is unwillingness to learn to cope with the imperfection of your spouse as a newly married Muslim. Mistake number 4, expecting your spouse to be a carbon copy of yourself or your personality. This mistake can be deadly. Mistake number 5 to avoid in a new marriage is keeping in touch with friends from the opposite gender. Yes, keeping in touch with friends from the opposite gender is not supposed to be after marriage. Mistake number 6, introducing your spouse to your friends. We have just agreed your friends are from the same gender and not from the opposite gender. Mistake number 7 to avoid in a new marriage is getting stuck in the fantasy of movies, dramas, Bollywoods, and what have you. Mistake number 8 to avoid in a new marriage is using pornography of any kind to warm up for your halal intimacy. Mistake number 9 to avoid in a new marriage. Do not compare your wife to your mother, and do not compare your husband to your father or your brother. Mistake number 10 to avoid in a new marriage is don't ever lose your cool. In other words, don't ever lose your mind. Mistake number 11 to avoid in a new marriage is don't be afraid to express, to make known what is it that has angered you, what is it that has offended you, what is it that has made you uncomfortable. Mistake number 12 to avoid in a new marriage is don't ever lay your hand on your spouse. Of course, this is something that may not only happen at the beginning of the marriage, it may happen throughout the marriage. Mistake number 13 to avoid in a new marriage is don't give your spouse the reason to mistrust you. On the other hand, don't find fault or means to mistrust your spouse. Mistake number 14 to avoid in a new marriage is don't argue for or justify wrongdoings. Mistake number 15 to avoid in a new marriage is don't compete with your spouse. Instead, complete one another as a husband and wife. All right, welcome back. It is important to note that these 15 mistakes that we have gone through in the past 9 videos, as well as we have just taken a look at the highlights of them, these are not the only mistakes you may encounter in your marriage life. There are going to be more of them. And in fact, there are many others out there, and there are going to be more of them because they are evolving. And you will definitely discover more and learn as you grow in your marriage life, inshallah ta'ala. Now, the first point of bonus, as promised, is that every day in marriage life is a new day to learn something new about yourself and about your spouse. Remember, this discussion or this short series focused only on marriage. It did not talk about parenting. It did not talk about handling and dealing with your in-laws. It did not talk about the situations where you may have to live with your in-laws or your parents or your relatives. All that are topics that we may or may not discuss in a different discussion altogether. But every day in a marriage life, between you and your spouse, is a new day to learn something new about yourself, about your spouse. You are growing. You are growing younger. You're not growing older. So as you grow younger, your hormones change. When your hormones change, it affects your mood. It affects your reactions, how you react to things, how you perceive things. It is important to realize this and know that every day there is possibility that something new will happen to your attitude or something new will happen to the attitude of your good spouse. And remember, especially for the men, you should know that your wife will have a monthly cycle or period to experience, which for some it may be very painful. Regardless of how painful it is definitely uncomfortable. And it affects their mood, it affects their attitude, and you should be ready to bear with that. No matter how ugly they react, we have no excuse to counter-react the same way. Bonus number 2, every day in your marriage life is an opportunity for you to renew the relationship between you and your spouse. And this is applicable to both males and females, husbands and wives. It takes two hands to clap. You cannot do it alone. Your spouse should be ready and have the same mindset so that you will be on the same page. Renew, refresh your love towards one another every day. Do it sincerely, do it genuinely. Don't do it just to fulfill a KPI. You are not in the company, you are in a family, you are in a marriage setting. So things are done naturally. So let this renewal of the love be done on a daily basis, because you don't know when the hormones will change and how it will change and to what extent it will change. So take every day as an opportunity to renew the love, the compassion you have for one another. And again, it should not come from only one side. It should not always be one side that is doing it. Although the leader, the man in this case, should have that initiative more often. But it will be very beautiful when it also comes from their wife. Bonus number 3, whether it is genuinely or pretentiously, or it is by faking, you tell your spouse that you love him or you love her. I love you, I love you. Whether it is true or not, Allah knows. But in this situation, I honestly believe that you love your spouse genuinely. You love your spouse honestly, especially that you have already married. All the I love you before marriage were just for fun, nothing more, nothing less. The I love you now, after you have been under one shelter for some time, are likely to be honest than not. Now, the conventional way of I love you is I love you, baby. The conventional way of I love you is I love you, whatever you call one another. Why not we take it to a different level? Let's make it a habit to let our spouse know that the love we have for them is connected to Allah. It is not material. It is not dunya. It is not temporal. It is eternal. I love you for Allah's sake, my dear. I love you for Allah's sake, my love. I love you for Allah's sake, whatever you call your spouse. You may not want to emphasize this every other time, but at least before you go to bed, before you leave home, when you come back from outside, for whoever comes from outside. I love you for Allah's sake. In our previous video, we mentioned one of the qualities out of the 4, if you find it in a person, then the person is likely to be the right candidate for your future husband, wife, spouse, is that if you look at the person, you should be able to say to them, I love you for Allah's sake. You should be able to love them for Allah's sake, regardless whether you are happy or you are moody, whether you are angry or you are excited. So the suggestion is that we make it a habit and a routine. How beautiful your children will learn this from you. To love one another in a family for the sake of Allah. And inshallah, if this is established, we hope and pray that the reflection will be beautiful. Bonus number 4, you are you. Your spouse is your spouse. You are not your spouse is not you. Each of you have independent personality. There are times that you may want some time for yourself. Also know that there are times that your spouse may want some time for themselves. Realize this, appreciate it, and let it be doable. When your spouse needs some time for themselves, provide it for them. Do not take your spouse for granted. When they are not in the mood to talk, leave them alone and give them the time. When they are overexcited, appreciate it. Do not look at why are you so overexcited? What is there to be so overexcited about? Don't do that. When they are overexcited, appreciate it and adjust into it accordingly. When they are down, let it be a time that comes to pass. If they need time for themselves, they don't want to talk to anybody, fine, no problem. They will definitely come back. For those who may be this, when you find yourself moody, do not let it be the end of the world. When you are moody, fine, no problem. You don't have the mood to talk, you don't have the mood to interact. Take your time, no problem. But don't make it a 24-hour affair or 48 hours affair, let alone more than that. We also have to learn to bring ourselves back to normal because this is life. Bonus number 5, Iblis is working non-stop to see your family break. This, whether we know it or we don't know it, this is the reality. The Sunnah has confirmed this. Iblis is working to see no families exist. And the way the world system is run today is a good example of that. The family institution is being sidelined and weakened probably to the lowest of all time. Iblis is working non-stop to see your family break. And your job is to work non-stop to see your family stay put. How do you do that? Depend on him. Put your reliance on him and you will see miracles. The power of Iblis can only influence you when you depend on your human self. But when you depend on Allah, la hawla wa la quwwata illa billah, you will be in good hands, inshallah. This marks the end of this short series in which we shared 15 mistakes to avoid in a new marriage. If you have watched all the previous ones and you have watched this to this point, please do share your thoughts in the comments below. What are some of the mistakes that you think that should have been added that we might have overlooked? And we will appreciate that from you and we may share it in a way or another. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala preserve for you your marriage and grant you happiness in this dunya and the akhirah through your marriage. If you are watching this and you are yet to marry, I pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grants you the right spouse with whom you will go to Jannah together. Because it is only when you are searching for a spouse, a righteous spouse, that you will know that it is not easy. That you realize that it is not like going to the grocery and buying cherries or buying tomatoes or buying fruits. Finding a good spouse is a project on its own. May Allah ease it for you. And for the rest of us, everyone else, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us what it takes to better and purify our dunya for the best interest of our akhirah. Until the next video or series, I leave you in His protection. See you in Jannah. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.